Okay, so we have some good news. Border Patrol is now on the ground in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the liberals are losing it. Secondly, we have an interesting update regarding the Epstein files, and it continues to expose Democrats' corruption. And finally, Michelle Obama. Yeah, she just humiliated herself once again. We're going to talk about all this in this video, but let's start with what's happening in Charlotte. Take a look. Okay, so what you just saw there was people peacefully protesting, which we know what that truly means, okay? Paid agitators at best. Because ICE is doing exactly what 77 million people voted for, and as of the latest poll, 56% of Americans want, which is to deport illegal aliens. So we take a look at ground news to get the bottom line up front, and we use ground news to see the full picture of what's being reported in the media, but also to stay aware of the narratives and the biases so we can critically think for ourselves. And the one thing that you guys can see right up here up front, it says local reporters and viewers captured masked agents arresting a man at a 4750 South Boulevard and detaining people across South Boulevard and Central Avenue. Okay. And again, the reason why I want to read this to you is because that begins to be the narrative, not that illegal aliens are in this area, but that ICE is doing something wrong. Let me show you an example of that. Take a look.
Why are y'all doing that?
What the fuck, guys?
He was ready for them.
Yeah, and what was he doing?
Obviously, he was actually illegal.
He was what?
What?
Illegal.
How do you know?
Exactly.
Excuse me.
How do you know?
Exactly.
He just admitted it.
Did he?
That's what we do interviews, ma'am. We do interviews.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I really
You
absolutely.
might want to disagree.
Go ahead and call. Exactly.
That's not nice.
Thank you.
Well, are you doing nice things?
Absolutely. Making
No,
the
you're not.
community safer for you.
He wasn't doing anything. Exactly.
I bet you he was grocery shopping.
Could be. Criminal grocery shop, they got to eat too.
Yeah, they do. And you know what? Most of the time, they're not actually doing anything wrong.
Okay, so the thing that continues to stick out to me when I see these videos is that people refuse to just comply. And not only do they refuse to comply, but they're willing to obstruct these law enforcement officers from doing their job. And what's also continued to be a recurring trend, and that's why we use ground news to stay aware of exactly what's being reported, is this. Local officials reassured residents that the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department does not participate in federal immigration enforcement and encouraged the community to remain peaceful. So the bottom line is, guys, we're about to have a repeat of Chicago on our hands here shortly. But before we talk more about that, guys, download Ground News today. Check it out for yourself. It's a tool. It's a #1 tool, actually, that we use here on the show to do our research and see exactly what both sides are saying. So if you want to use this tool for yourself, all you have to do is go to ground.news/Devori, or you could download the mobile app. Just use promo code Devori, and it's going to give you access to everything that I showed you in this video, including 40% off the Vantage plan.
Yeah, we had heard from officials in Charlotte that were preparing for the possibility that this operation was going to take place. And it seems like it is exactly underway this weekend on Saturday after several community reports of activity in the area, as well as a statement from the Department of Homeland Security confirming that they are, in fact, in the area of Charlotte carrying out immigration enforcement. They said in part, We are surging DHS law enforcement to Charlotte to ensure Americans are safe and public safety threats are removed. Now, while they claim to be focused on public safety, you heard from the local representative there, as well as members of the community that we've been speaking with all day, that there's an incredible amount of fear and stress spreading across the community because of the enforcement that is happening. And
let's explore that fear. Okay. Is it wrong for people to be scared? And is it wrong that ICE is causing people to be scared? No. Why? Because if you're not following the law, you should be scared. Okay. We have an administration who is going to enforce the law now. And I think what's happened is not only just illegal aliens and Democrats, but also just American citizens in general. We have been, privileged in a sense, spoiled, that the last administration never enforced the law. And so now when somebody is, everybody's scared. The fact of the matter is, if you're a citizen and you have your papers, you will be released. Okay. It's the bottom line to it. And I'm talking about people who had to get their citizenship by doing it the right way. And if you don't have your papers and you don't have your citizenship, you should be scared. In fact, you should just follow what the instructions have been since day one, which is to self-deport.
I grew up undocumented in Charlotte, in the neighborhoods that so many immigrant families call home. And today I stand before you as not only the first Latino, but the first formerly undocumented member of the City Council. Yesterday, the Sheriff's Office confirmed that CBP will be in our city. However, no transparency, no accountability, no explanation, not to my colleagues behind me, not to the public, not to the families who deserve to know what's happening in their own city.
Okay, so who you just heard from there is a Charlotte City Council member who went to the Queen's University of Charlotte on a full ride scholarship because he was undocumented. He takes pride in being undocumented, okay? And it's just fascinating how these people end up getting into positions of power within these local governments. Here's a photo of him in ALC. I think that sums up everything you need to know. Also, he is a recipient of the DACA program, and he is openly gay, Latino, all the labels that one could want, right? And that's what we're dealing with when it comes to what ICE is facing as they descend into Chicago to deport these illegal aliens. So we have some breaking news regarding the Epstein files, which clearly I know you guys are annoyed of hearing about. I don't want to talk about it, but in the fairness of transparency, we have to bring this up because, see, you have somebody by the name of Representative Stacey Plaskett who was in direct communication with Jeffrey Epstein during a 2019 congressional hearing when they were questioning Michael Cohen. Now, isn't it fascinating that an email regarding Trump, where Jeffrey Epstein clearly starts to sound like he hates the man, gets more attention than members of Congress in direct communication with him after they know he's been convicted or being prosecuted of these crimes? It's interesting. Matter of fact, why don't I show you what the clip looks like? This is the Washington Post running this story, showing the representative herself in real time communicating with Jeffrey Epstein. Take a look.
This was when Barack Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
You got to quickly give us as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot that went on.
You saw it. I saw it. We've all seen it. So the question now will be, will mainstream media report on this particular story the same amount of energy, the same amount of attention as everything else that's come out? A part of me says the answer is probably no. But I'm going to read a couple more statements for you. I think it is ridiculous that he is instructing this woman, this member of Congress, on what questions to ask and all this other nonsense. So I guess the better question is, how many other people was he in direct contact with in 2019, where he was donating large amount of money to their campaign, which clearly made them slave to him, especially people on the left? I think these are legitimate questions.
What did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails when he said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years. But he also saw a strike because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break.
All right, so that's what the president had to say. It's nothing new, okay? He's been saying that repeatedly now. And the bottom line so far to this breaking news update is exactly what Harris Faulkner put up on X here, okay? Read the latest reporting by New York Post. How did Democrat Rep Plaskett escape scrutiny for her text messages from Jeffrey Epstein? Add in this very similar reporting from the Washington Post. Bottom line is this. Democrats were hoping the release of these emails would somehow damage the president. Well, I think the only person who's going to damage the president is himself, clearly. But what's actually happening is these emails are proving the president's point, that it shows Jeffrey Epstein working with Democrats in the first Trump administration to hurt him. Are we paying attention?
Epstein texted Democratic Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett during your House Oversight Committee hearing in early 2019. Her staff confirmed that and went on to say that, as a former prosecutor, she welcomes information that helps her get at the truth and took on the GOP that was trying to bury the truth. Why do you think Epstein would have been so invested? Well, let me ask you mine. Why do you think Epstein? Wait, hold on. Answer mine first. Why do you think Epstein was so invested?
Yeah, he wanted to get at Trump. There's no doubt he had a real animus towards him. Because Donald Trump allegedly stole the property, the one that was ultimately sold for $95 million that Jeffrey Epstein wanted to buy on South Ocean there in Palm Beach, Florida. But the real question I think that is being missed here, and one I would love for Stacey Plaskett to give me a call and explain. Why don't you explain to me why you're texting with Jeffrey Epstein anyway? In fact, Jeffrey Epstein at that time had already been charged as being a pedophile, as running a sex trafficking ring, and you're in the process of texting with him during my live House Oversight Committee hearing?
Yeah, so Michael Cohen's point is well received on my end. I mean, I just don't understand the justification for texting with someone like that who's already been charged, okay? You know who he is. Now, of course, she's from the Virgin Islands, and of course, he donated to her campaign, and of course, he has business or had business with the Virgin Islands. I think you guys can connect the dots with that, okay? It's not speculation. That's all proven in public record. So maybe that's the answer to the question. Maybe she was under his authority at some point in time, if that kind of makes sense. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to the rest of this exchange between Michael Cohen and this host on CNN, because he starts making it about how, as a woman, why would you be texting with Jeffrey Epstein? And then you got to see the way Laura Coates responds in the end. Take a look.
I just want to know why she is in communication as a woman, forgetting about even as a member of Congress. We see there's a whole bunch of perverts there too. But as a woman, knowing that this guy was the worst sex trafficker of underage girls, of children, you're texting with the leader of this when he's already been charged and awaiting an indictment. Shame on Stacey Plaskett, by the way. She owes an explanation, and not the BS explanation that her office and her staff gave.
Well, I invite her to explain. I'll also say,
I
as
do
a former,
too.
as a woman and former prosecutor myself, sometimes the journey to the truth requires you to walk through the depths of hell, and you meet devils along the way. Michael Cohen, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, see, that last part is what irks me about anchors on mainstream media. She didn't need to say all that, okay? The man came onto your show, let him say what he's got to say and move on. You know, it's almost as if they're always trying to influence their audience, okay? Let people make up their own mind, all right? Again, I don't care what justification. Listen, if she was going through the depths of hell to hold people accountable, why wasn't she leading the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein? Right? Why didn't she come forward and get ahead of this story already? Okay, I think we know the answer to all that. All right, so let's go to our next update. This is more culture at this point, okay? We'll get away from the politics for a second. Michelle Obama, former First Lady. She's going viral because of a comment she's continuing to stress about her hair, okay, as a black woman. And I got to react to it because as a black man, I think I have some authority over on this particular topic. I'll play it and then you'll hear me react. Take a look.
Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim and we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all.
Let's just pause it for a second. Let's use first principles thinking, which allows us to critically think. My question, first off, to the former First Lady would be, where did you get the idea that black women need to straighten their hair because of white people? Who put that idea in your mind? Where did that idea come from? I've never heard of that. Never. Now, as you guys can see in my particular hair style, this is my natural hair. It is naturally curly. Now, I could shave it. I could have a buzz cut like I did in the military. But I like the way my hair is now. I don't have a problem with it. I don't really have to do much to it. You know, it's just naturally curly. I like it. It's who I am. And there are men who are white who also have curly hair. Isn't that interesting? So it's not a race thing. This is another example of people in our society making up problems that don't exist so they can find a way to express themselves, so they can sound like they know what they're talking about, and I guess play the victim. Let's continue.
It is exhausting and it's so expensive and it takes up so much time. Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the work. So why do we need an act, an act of law to tell white folks to get out of our hair? Don't tell me how to wear my hair. Don't wonder about it. Don't touch it. Just don't.
You know, it's really interesting because I've never had the perception that she holds, which is that white people are looking at black people a certain way everywhere we go. I never had that perception. And because I never had that perception, it means I've never gave that any energy. That's the problem with people like her. They give it too much energy and they psych themselves into this mindset that everybody's worrying about you and your hairdo, and like no one cares about you, right? Like mindset lesson here for everybody, okay? No one cares about you. No one's thinking about you. The problem is you're in your head thinking that other people are thinking about you. People barely even think, let alone all the problems they got going on in their own life. No one's caring about black women's hair like that. Only black women do. It's interesting. In fact, I encourage people to sport their natural hairdos. If you have curly hair, show it off. If you have straight hair, show it off. If you have no hair, show it off. Just be who you are. Everybody loves authenticity, okay? You can never argue against that. Now, speaking of arguing, she ends up going a step further and now trashes the position of the First Lady because I guess they say it's a throwback type of thing as far as femininity is concerned, and it really isn't a good look moving forward. I think you guys are getting the gist. Take a listen.
How do you feel about the fact that the First Lady is an archetype for wifedom and femininity?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Don't agree with that. It's it is a completely throwback on. It's a definition that has no current status in how women actually show up in the world today.
Do you think that impacts the room that we've made for a woman to be president?
Well, as we saw in this past election, sadly, we ain't ready. That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time. You know, we got a lot of growing up to do. And there's still, sadly, a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman, and we saw it.
All right. So number one, she proves our point for us, which is why women. Okay. So number one, she proves our point for us. She's a perfect example why women shouldn't run for president. Number two, it's women who voted for Zohran Mamdani. It's women who were behind the inherent racist policy of DEI, which they made a lot of money off of course. And three, it's white liberal women who I believe are the most dangerous people in politics. That doesn't mean I'm against women, okay? It's just what the results continue to show in all of the polling and data. So yeah, I don't think our country needs to grow up. I think the solution is Congress needs to be addressed like yesterday. They are the ones who are continuing to drive this country off a cliff. They are walking conflicts of interest. Can we speak about a higher IQ solution of what's happening in our country? It's not men and women, it's Congress as far as policies are concerned. Okay, so let's hear from you guys in the comment section below. Big update regarding Epstein. I know you guys don't like to hear it, but we want to report on it, okay? And the fact of the matter is Jeffrey Epstein has been communicating, or he was communicating with Democrats in an effort to take the president down in his first administration. I think that kind of tells you everything you need to know there and how Democrats really are not about the victims. But why don't you give me your reaction in the comment section below that? Also, ICE has descended into North Carolina, about time. I think there's plenty of other cities they need to get around to, but you're already starting to see the reaction from that. So give me your reaction. And finally, what do you make of Michelle Obama, especially for the women out there who have curly hair? Do you need white people's approval? Do you need people telling you why your hair needs to be straight? Please just explain it in the comment section below. Thank you. Okay, so our next video is all about the continuous infighting that's happening on the right. So Marjorie Taylor Greene has officially been kicked out of the good graces of the president. Okay, he has gone after her, turned on her, and called her out and leaving her stunned. So if you guys missed out on that update and more from earlier today, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.